What's going on, guys? Welcome to the video. We are going to take a look at the debate between Oliver Kamms from the Times newspaper and the Brexit Party MEP Ben Habib. This is in response to Oliver's accusations against the Brexit Party, where he called them a racist party. Of course, being a journalist suffering from massive Brexit derangement syndrome, he cannot back up his claims about the Brexit Party, since everything he refers to is either not racist or nothing to do with the Brexit Party itself. Let's check it out.
If you use Twitter, you'll know that no matter what someone is tweeting about, there'll always be somebody who disagrees. And if the tweet involves politics or Brexit, the replies come thick and fast. Not often those Twitter debates have the chance to play themselves out in the real world, not the echo chamber, until now. Here's a bit of background for you. Last week, when replying to a tweet about a new press secretary at the Brexit Party, Oliver Kamms, who is a lead writer for the Times newspaper, tweeted that the Brexit Party is a racist organisation just like UKIP, and they can't disguise it, is what he says. Of course, that tweet provoked outrage among Brexit Party members, including the MEP Ben Habib, who replied to Oliver by saying, "You are totally wrong. I'd be happy to meet you to put you right. In the meantime, I strongly suggest you cease your divisive, inflammatory language." Our Europe correspondent, Mark Stone, stepped into the breach, suggesting both men move their debate into the real world and have me adjudicate. Happy to oblige. Here we are this afternoon. Lo and behold, both men agreed. Delighted to be joined by Oliver Kamms and Ben Habib. Hello to you, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us on the programme this afternoon, and also to Mark Stone for facilitating this on Sky News' behalf. Who should we start with? Let's start with Ben, should we? Ben Habib, you were really upset about some of the things that Oliver said. Do you want to take him to task now?
I was upset, and I think it would be wrong to start with me. Oliver made an accusation against the Brexit Party, saying it is a racist organisation. And that is completely wrong. He must justify his comment. He claims he's a journalist for the Times and he's allowed to hold opinions. Sure, he can hold opinions, but those opinions need to be based in fact. And if you're going to chuck out a slur, which is potentially libelous, you've got to have facts to back it up. So I think really you ought to ask Oliver to back up this inflammatory accusation before I speak in any detail.
OK, well, just to clarify, it's my show, so I decide what happens. Oliver, do answer his question, though.
OK. In the Times overnight was a story about a Facebook group organised by Brexit Party members and supporters, numbering several thousand, including 4 Brexit Party parliamentary candidates. In this Facebook group, the most grotesque, racist invective had been voiced. It's now been shut down by Facebook. And Mr. Habib sent me a message on social media publicly this morning describing it as wretched, the lowest of the low. It will astonish your viewers, as it does me, that he wasn't referring to these appalling racist comments, but the Times newspaper for reporting the fact. It is clear that Mr. Habib's aversion to press freedom and press comment is much greater than his dislike of racist bigotry. I'm astonished he's taken up the invitation to appear on your programme, because it's very hard to see what greater obloquy the Brexit Party could heap on itself, or what greater personal indignity Mr. Habib could undergo, other than by commenting on this. And I suppose he deserves credit for imagination and initiative in alighting upon the one course he could do that would intensify his discredit. But he's obviously got no self-respect and absolutely no sense of dignity or shame.
Ben Habib?
Well, I find Oliver Kamms' comments absolutely in line with his previous attitude, which is just to inflame the situation. The fact is, as he knows well, and as that article goes on to explain in paragraph 11, the Facebook page that was put up was not put up by the Brexit Party. It was a group of people passing themselves off as the Brexit Party. It had 8,400 members, of which admittedly there were 4 prospective parliamentary candidates from the Brexit Party who have been dismissed. But for the record, and I think as the article makes clear, those 4 PPCs made no Islamophobic or racist comments, and they are no longer part of the party. Mr. Kamms is grasping at any straw he can to rubbish not just the Brexit party, but his real aim here is to rubbish Brexit. And he's using the conduit of the Brexit party to undermine the Brexit debate. He is the lowest form of debate in the public domain. And frankly, if I were the editor of the Times, I wouldn't give him 5 more minutes in my employment.
Oh, Oliver.
Kate, did you hear Mr. Habib just condemn the racist and Islamophobic comments made by Brexit Party supporters? No, I didn't either. His aim, his ire, is directed at a free press that commented on these appalling
accused
remarks.
the Brexit Party of being racist. You accuse the Brexit. Explain your accusation. Explain your accusation.
Hello. This is how it works. You've had your say, then we get Oliver to say, and then we come back to you, Mr. Habib. Oliver Kamms, go on.
That's exactly how a debate is conducted, Kay. Thank you. It's not just the appalling comments that I've referred to, it's the antecedents and the message of the Brexit Party. The founder and designated leader of the Brexit Party had to be shunted out of the way because of her own inflammatory comments on social media. Mr. Farage, the current leader, has a record of, for example, during the 2016 referendum campaign, appearing in front of a poster headed "Breaking Point" that was both factually inaccurate and racially inflammatory. Mr. Farage has been on record as saying that when he is in a carriage on public transport and hears only other languages, languages other than English, he feels uncomfortable. Well, of course, Mr. Habib is going to furiously protest against the observation, not an accusation, observation that the Brexit Party is racist, because what else can he do? I mean, if I were accused of being a serial killer, it wouldn't bother me because there's no evidence for it. But when I observe that the Brexit Party is a racist organisation with a racist message, I'm just a journalist. He and other Brexit MEPs pile in on me because they know it's true and they want to disguise it.
And he must be allowed to come back on that, Mr. Habib.
I had to stop that there. This soy boy is a fucking idiot. The host starts with Ben for some reason, even though it was the Ramoning fuckpig Oliver who made the accusation, which Ben rightly calls out before he shits on his utter bullshit that he has no evidence to back up. Surprise, surprise, a left-wing mainstream media fuckpig makes wild claims with no evidence. So Oliver then mentions this Facebook group he claims was organised by Brexit Party members and supporters, which 4 Brexit Party parliamentary candidates joined. And it had some racist comments posted in there like that's something to do with the actual Brexit Party as a whole, and like they could even control that. This idiot tries to link this group with the actual Brexit Party multiple times throughout this video, as you will see, which is the typical shit we get from the mainstream media. Like I said, this tosspot has zero evidence, so when he's called out for it, he just makes personal attacks against the Brexit Party MEP, telling me he has no self-respect. Bit rich coming from a worthless shitweasel like Oliver, who wants to ignore the democratic wish of the people, and is now resorting to calling the Brexit Party's message racist, and by extension, anyone who supports the Brexit Party or leaving the EU in general is now a racist by his standards. Ben rightly points out the things Oliver forgot to mention, which was that this Facebook page had nothing to do with the Brexit Party, and the 4 parliamentary candidates who joined it did not make these comments and all got sacked instantly, likely because they knew this type of smear job would occur. It's what they do best after all. Ben finishes up pointing out this cunt is not only trying to attack the Brexit Party, but Brexit itself. He is just using this smear against the Brexit Party to further his narrative. You can tell Ben thoroughly destroyed his biased bullshit though, because he cannot answer, so he just continues to chat more shit about not condemning these comments. Which, get real mate, Ben's obviously going to condemn them comments. This guy is half Pakistani for fuck's sake. Ben is hardly going to be a die-hard white supremacist, is he, Oliver? All this tit has is the nonsense claim the Brexit Party's message is racist because they want to leave the EU, I guess. Since that is what the Brexit Party is all about after all. And of course, going back to the stupid Breaking Point poster, the mainstream media claims proves Nigel Farage is a racist because he was pictured in front of it during the 2016 referendum campaign. It's just more of the usual smears that's so common now it's like breathing air for them. It comes naturally. The problem with Oliver's bullshit is that it would be a bit difficult for Brexit to be racist, Since the EU is made up of white European nations, you complete fucking idiot. How can Brexiteers be racist to predominantly white European nations, when last I checked we are a predominantly white nation and the UK sits 24 miles off the European continent, making us about as close to them race-wise as we can be. Brexit is fuck all to do with race. It's not just white people that want Brexit, but you worthless fuckpigs have to try and make everything about race. You're taking too many lessons off the race-baiting fuckpig David Lammy. We want to make our own laws and set our own trade rules. That's not racist, it's internationalist, since we will then be trading with 93% of the world, which last I checked is not made up of entirely white countries like the EU. You know, the world has every other race on the planet to work and trade with. So I'm not really sure how we can claim the Brexit Party's message is racist, as that's essentially the same message the UK government has at the moment. We leave without a deal and trade with the rest of the world. What planet does this idiot live on? Let's hear Ben's response to the last load of shit from the Ramonin soy boy, though.
Well, it's patently not true. I'm half Pakistani. I'm a member of the Brexit Party and a proud member. I'm an MEP. And if it may be lost on Mr. Kamms that actually we doubled the ethnicity in the European Parliament when the 29 Brexit Party MEPs were returned to that Parliament. And if he bothered to look at the list of prospective parliamentary candidates that we've put forward, they are Pakistani by ethnic origin, Indian by ethnic origin, black by ethnic origin. He hasn't got a clue what he's talking about. And what happened in the 2016 referendum campaign has absolutely no bearing on the Brexit Party, which started its activities effectively on the 12th of April 2019.
Oliver Kamms?
I'm absolutely staggered that Mr. Habib has missed yet another opportunity to condemn the racial demagoguery of his party's supporters.
Let's allow him to do that then. Let's allow him to do that then, Oliver Kamms. Mr. Habib, would you like...
because it was my turn.
Yeah, I'll come back to you. It's my show. Mr. Habib, do you want to condemn...
OK, now that's very interesting. Oliver started his tweet by saying that Brexit Party is racist. He is now moving his guns onto Brexit Party supporters. The central accusation here is that the Brexit Party is racist, and he fails entirely to justify that outrageous claim. The Brexit Party is not racist, as evidenced by the multi-ethnic nature of its participants. It's self-evident.
Okay.
I don't need to go beyond that.
But
and
you
of
do
course
accept,
I condemn,
Mr. Habib, that some of your supporters are.
I condemn xenophobia. I condemn anti-Semitism. I condemn racism in any shape or form.
Okay.
I have suffered racism in this country. I've suffered racism in this country.
Do you accept that some of your supporters of the Brexit Party are potentially racist?
I suspect that there are more racists in amongst the Remain lot than there are amongst the Brexit lot. It's not the Brexit lot. Well, are you suggesting that out of 17.4 million people, there shouldn't be a single... the Brexit Party should be held responsible?
Your party, not those that voted against.
Well, I haven't got a clue what I haven't got a clue what the majority of the 17.4 million people think.
So we've got that clear. Oliver Kamms, you come back on that. So originally, you were criticising the Brexit Party, and you are rowing back from that, according to Mr. Habib.
No, I don't see how I can be clearer than this. The Brexit Party has a message that one can come up with a euphemism for it, say it is nativist, isolationist, nationalist, but I think it's probably better to be explicit and not to prettify it. Its message is xenophobic and racist, and you can see it from its antecedents, its message, its supporters, and its very grubby political history.
So he isn't rowing back at all, Mr. Habib?
He is, well, he's wrong. I put out a statement on our immigration policy this morning, which is welcoming to all ethnic backgrounds. It condemns xenophobia, it condemns racism, it condemns any form of anti-Semitism. So he's got no grounds for his accusation. He just keeps making the accusation. He doesn't justify it. He's going back to 2016 for posters which actually, incidentally, I don't hold to be racist. They may be making the point on immigration in a very strong way, but they're certainly not racist. And let me tell you something else. When I went to see Mr. Farage for the first time in the middle of March this year, I quizzed him very carefully on his background, his beliefs and so on. I'm half Pakistani. I have lots of Pakistani friends. I would never join a party which was led by a racist. Mr. Farage answered all my questions absolutely as I would expect someone who had no prejudice on the matter whatsoever. Moreover, he was extremely gracious and welcoming and charming to me. Not a racist at all. Mr. Kamms seeks to rubbish Brexit by rubbishing the Brexit Party and thereby promoting his own Remain arguments. It's the dirtiest form of debate that can take place.
Oliver Kamms?
It's extraordinary. Mr. Habib seems to think that Mr. Farage, a public school educated man in his mid-50s, has good manners, and therefore the Brexit Party can't be accused of racism. Its antecedents are exactly as I've described, and Mr. Habib has denied that appalling poster, the breaking point poster that Mr. Farage was photographed in front of in 2016, was racist. Well, I think we can close the discussion now because he's lost it.
Mr. Habib?
How does Mr. Kamms justify or explain the fact that we have so many different ethnicities in the Brexit Party, standing as PPCs and currently as members of the European Parliament, if we aren't a very broad church and certainly not racist? How does he explain that?
Oliver Kamms?
Well, I'm profoundly uninterested in the ethnic diversity of Brexit's parliamentary candidatures and its MEPs. I'm more interested in the message that it puts out. And I refer back again to Mr. Farage's insinuations that those in this country who, for example, do not speak English as a first language are somehow not full citizens of this country. It's not so much dog whistle politics as increasingly overt. And you know, and I know, Mr. Habib, that when I get back to my desk in a few minutes' time, there will be scores, hundreds, maybe thousands of abusive, racist, Islamophobic messages for me from your party's supporters. That's what it's like. That's the audience.
Ben shits on these racist claims by pointing out the diversity within the Brexit Party, not only in its MEPs but the candidates for a general election. I mean, this white man sitting there calling the Brexit Party a racist is talking to a half Pakistani member of the Brexit Party. How the fuck he can even sit there and come out with this shit is beyond me. That statement there should end the debate, really. It's obvious they can't be racist with multiple races representing them. He finished up pointing out what happened in the 2016 referendum campaign is nothing to do with the Brexit Party, who have only existed since April 2019. Oliver completely ignores everything he said though and just goes back to the same shit he said in the last clip about not condemning racist comments from people he claims are Brexit Party members, when, as I've said and we all know, he would wholeheartedly condemn, but the Brexit Party MEP noticed Oliver was blaming Brexit Party supporters now, not the actual party as he did originally, because of course Ben rubbished these claims about the Brexit Party being racist, since it has many different races represented it, and he can't argue that fact, so he tries to blame them for things they have no control over to keep the smear job going. Ben is having none of it though, because he knows this all started over the tweet Oliver put out saying the Brexit Party is racist, not some of their supporters have said racist things, and calls him out for it, going on to point out the same shit we already know. He condemns racism because he's suffered it, which the host tries to shout down to get him to admit there might be some racist people who support the Brexit Party, which of course there will be, and the same will go for every other party. Ben rightly points out there is likely to be far more racist on the Remain side, and I would have to agree since Labour is Remain, and they are the only other party in history, besides the BNP, to be investigated for racism. Oliver is not calling them racist though, is he? When pushed, he says the Brexit Party is racist again, before listing off things that do not make it racist, along with claiming Brexit is isolationist, which is complete bollocks. Being able to trade with 93% of the world is not isolationist, you complete fucking moron. It's literally the complete opposite. He claims the Brexit Party has a grubby political history. It's been around for 4 months. How does it have a grubby history, you idiot? The Labour Party, who I'm guessing you're a supporter of, has a grubby present and history, mate. How he can sit there and say this shit is beyond me. Ben points out the complete nonsense in his stupid claims that he's not managed to justify once, rubbishing this smear job as an attempt to discredit Brexit by smearing the Brexit Party. Oliver's response talking about Farage's public schooling is ridiculous. What has that got to do with the Brexit Party being racist, you complete fucking idiot? You see Ben roll his eyes at the stupidity of what he's saying. He finished up his response saying, because a person from Pakistan does not agree with the white man's idea of racism, the Brexit Party is still racist. Does this guy actually think about the shit that he plans to say before he says it? This man is dictating to a guy who has suffered racism what is racist and what's not. It's incredible. Ben goes back to the ethnic diversity within the Brexit Party, which forces Oliver to state he does not care about the Brexit Party's ethnic diversity, because obviously he can't argue with that, can he? He's more interested in the message that it puts out, which is fucking amazing since I've never heard or seen any message that could be considered racist put out by the Brexit Party. Or any other political party for that matter. He goes on about people who don't speak English living in the UK not being full citizens. Well, I'm sure the people who don't bother to learn the English language likely don't consider themselves British citizens anyway. I mean, if I lived in France, Spain or Africa and I didn't know the language, I wouldn't consider myself a citizen of theirs, although to be honest, I would always consider myself a British citizen, because that's what I am. I would expect 99% of people from other nations would feel the same way. Their birth nation will likely be what they consider themselves. That's not racist, that's called having some national fucking pride, you idiot. You should always be proud of where you're from, regardless of the country. Oliver claims he will have racist, Islamophobic, blah 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 messages after this, which would be strange considering he is a white guy and likely not practicing the Islamic faith. How can anyone be racist or Islamophobic to him? Someone let me know how that is even possible in the comments section below. Now let's hear what Ben has to say about that load of bullshit then.
Go on, Mr. Habib.
Well, he keeps citing party supporters. His accusation was against the Brexit Party. The fact that he receives lots of hate mail doesn't surprise me whatsoever, given the inflammatory way in which he conducts himself.
You're not condoning that, though, are you?
I'm not condoning it.
Good,
No, I condemn all form of xenophobia, racism, anti-Semitism in all its guises, all its forms, and in all manner that it comes. And actually, I think Mr. Kamms is a deeply prejudiced individual because he's prepared to throw out these accusations, and he says he's supremely uninterested in looking at the ethnic backgrounds of the PPCs and MEPs that the Brexit Party has. Well, he should be supremely interested because that would inform him that we're not racist.
That's a reasonable point, Oliver Kamms, surely?
It's not a reasonable point at all. It's not a reasonable point at all. I'm referring to the message of the Brexit Party, and I don't want this to be missed. Mr. Habib has defended that breaking point poster fronted by Mr. Farage in 2016 that was quite clearly factually wrong and racially inflammatory. This is a party with appalling antecedents, and I haven't even begun to get into the question of the of people like Claire Fox, who the MEP, who I know a little bit, whose political background is on the far left, and a magazine that denied the war crimes of the worst, most genocidal regime in Europe since 1945, the Milosevic regime in Serbia. This is a grubby party with a grubby message, and I'm glad to have smoked out some of the people who defend it.
Mr. Habib?
Well, I put a formal statement out this morning, which I made every effort to ensure you saw, Mr. Kamms, on our immigration policy. If you talk about the messages coming out of the Brexit Party, you should have a look at that document, and you will see that the message from the Brexit Party is very welcoming. Actually, if we just talk about freedom of movement for a second, freedom of movement, if anything, is racist because it prejudices immigration in favour of white members of EU member states across Europe. What we're proposing is a skill-based immigration policy that is blind to ethnic origin and would take people from across the globe. So it's your Remain propaganda that's designed to try and rubbish our much broader and welcoming approach to immigrants in this country.
Oliver Kamms?
Well, I'm happy to talk about immigration policy any time. I've long argued that the problem with immigration controls in this country is that they are far too tight and they need to be loosened. But no, I didn't see Mr. Habib's statement because he didn't bother sending it to me. What he sent to me was a comment on social media, and I quote again, "It's wretched, the lowest of the low." And he wasn't referring to the racist messages in this Facebook group. He was referring to the Times's report and exposure of these appalling sentiments on the part of supporters of his own party.
Do you want to condemn the Facebook group, Mr. Habib?
I condemned the people who made wretched comments on that group, absolutely. And the PPCs to whom he referred made none of those comments, but they were dismissed instantly by the Brexit Party. We will have no truck with racism or any connection with it whatsoever. I condemn it in all its forms. I think that must be the 4th or 5th time I've said that in this interview. But I still also condemn the article put out by the Times this morning that starts with the headline, Brexit Party racist group or something to that effect. But it doesn't make it clear that it's actually a party, a group of people trying to pass off as the Brexit Party. It's not the Brexit Party. He accuses the Brexit Party as an organisation of being racist, but still he has zero evidence for it. And in fact, all the evidence I presented proves him to be wrong.
Oliver?
Why does the Brexit Party keep having this problem? Why does it attract people who hold appalling, racist, Islamophobic views? The reason is completely obvious. That is the message that it puts out, deliberately, intentionally, and it's a sort of dog whistle, but we know what's underlying it. We know what's underlying it because they can't help themselves. Mr. Farage, as I say, has a record on this. I've debated with him, he has a superficial bonhomie. He's not very good on factual detail. He has a bonhomie that is blown away the moment you press him. And his views are a matter of record. His views are a matter of record. That breaking point poster, I urge your viewers after this discussion to go online and have a look at it. It's inflammatory. It's appalling. Why also does Mr. Farage find himself discomforted by hearing languages other than English on public transport? It's an insinuation that the people there who are fully integrated British citizens whose first language is not English don't really belong here. It's a party that is a virulent strain in British democracy, and I don't think we should be polite about it anymore, so I'm not prepared to be.
I'm guessing that some of our viewers would agree with that, Mr. Habib.
Well, I think Mr. Kamm is getting confused about the definition of racism. Racism
What's your definition?
is holding one's own race superior to another. That's what it is, holding one's own race to be superior to another. There is nothing wrong with putting British national interests first. That's not racist. That's perhaps nationalist, but it's certainly not racist. And Mr. Farage is not a racist. And if he were a racist, he wouldn't have people from Pakistani ethnic backgrounds, Indian ethnic backgrounds, Afro-Caribbean ethnic backgrounds, African backgrounds, as PPCs and as MEPs in Parliament. He simply wouldn't have it. We would be full of white people. We're not.
May I just make this point, Mr. Habib? What about when he said he didn't really want Romanians to live next door to him?
Well, whether he wishes to have Romanians living next door to him is a personal matter for Mr. Farage. I'm telling you,
but you don't
that
feel
the
that was him
Party,
saying that my race is superior to Romanians? No.
The Brexit Party
just to clarify,
is not.
If you would.
I'm not Mr. Farage. I can't comment for specific comments made by him about Romanians living next door. All I can say is that the Brexit Party is absolutely not racist. And the formal message, which we put out this morning, which I put out this morning, makes that utterly clear.
Okay.
And the fact, and I have to come back to it again, the fact that we have so many different ethnic backgrounds as PPCs and as MEPs is evidence, if evidence is needed, that we welcome people from all faiths and all backgrounds.
Okay.
And Mr. Kamm needs to be much more responsible in his reporting because the Brexit debate is divisive enough.
We're almost out of time, Mr. Kamm. Final thought from you, because we started with Mr. Habib. Go.
Well, I'm not a reporter. I've never reported anything. I'm expressing my honest opinion. But we seem to be making some progress in this discussion anyway, because it's completely obvious that Mr. Habib will not condemn the remarks by Mr. Farage. You've just cited one particularly pregnant example, Kay, or the appalling poster in the referendum campaign, or his remarks about hearing other languages other than English on public transport. The message is consistent. It is that people of differing national backgrounds who have made their home in the UK are not really welcome. And I think we should call out that sort of thing for what it is. It's a racist message.
Gentlemen, we're out of time. Thank you both for joining us on the programme this afternoon.
All right, so you're probably noticing a theme here. Ben again points out he first accused the party and is now changing to the supporters before condemning the shit we all knew he would condemn, and rightly calls out Oliver's own deep prejudices, because he will throw out wild accusations calling the Brexit party racist while having no interest in looking at the many Brexit Party MEPs and future MPs possibly that are from ethnic minority groups, like the one he is fucking talking to. I swear this has to be one of the most ridiculous debates I've ever seen in my life. Once again he ignores that and goes back to the message of the Brexit Party. So once again, he is saying that wanting to leave the EU is racist. So at least 17.4 million people are racist in his eyes. This guy has to be one of the most despicable pieces of shit I've seen in my life. The shit he's coming out with is absolutely astonishing. His attack is against Brexit as a whole, so he won't listen to facts or reason. He just goes on about the same shit over and over again. Ben rightly points out the freedom of movement Oliver is so keen to preserve is actually a racially discriminatory system since it favours white European citizens over the other races from around the world. Both the Brexiteer parties want to use a skill-based system for immigration similar to the model in Australia that favours no ethnic origin, it only cares about your ability. Ben once again states what I've already said, this is just another smear job by the Ramonas, but Oliver's not happy with the skill-based system. He wants to make it easier for everyone to come here because I guess he likes uncontrolled immigration, lowering the wage rate in this country. Ben points out that his article was claiming the Brexit Party is racist once again, when all you hear now is changing that to its supporters. Oliver asks why the Brexit Party attracts people who don't like certain races, which is ridiculous since the Labour Party, Tory Party and Lib Dem will all have racist supporters amongst them. It's not confined to one party, you idiot, and they cannot control it. The Sky News host also joins in against Ben. Took her time, but I knew it would happen. As is a common theme in this debate though, Ben rightly puts them both straight by saying British interest first is not racist, before once again having to say what he said 10 times already. They have countless ethnic backgrounds in the Brexit Party, they are not racist. You know what? I've had enough of this shit. I'm not even going to talk about it anymore. I'm going to end the video there. It's a complete joke. Ben is talking to a wall at the end of the day. You can't teach stupid, and this guy's fucking stupid. So, let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. Leave a like, subscribe, and share this video as it helps the channel a lot. And I will see you all in the next one.